Hey, everybody, shalom. Hope everyone's having a great day. Welcome back to the Barbecue Network. Getting some work done on my house here. I did an interview with Mr. Sutton last night, screenwriter of The Fan, among Mrs. Wonderborn and other movies. You can find more information on my channel going forward. We'll have the first part of it, but part two is already up. And we basically talked about The Fan, Mrs. Winterbourne, some of the other movies he's worked on in development, and some of his work in recent years, including his novels and a lot of his TV work. So I hope you guys find that of interest, and then we'll have some other Hollywood people, screenwriters, actors, producers, interviews on there in the future. I wanted to do a brief box office report and then also discuss maybe a movie or two here as well. So this box office report's interesting because at this particular theater in the South that I've been monitoring its box office and things like that, our movie John Wick only grossed around $10,230, but the national average was 14,770. Reasons for that was there was a lot of graduations this weekend, and people weren't able to probably attend the movies as much. And also, it's not really much of an area with money, and people have probably spent a lot of their money on Avengers Endgame here. So, doing the math, if every theater was similar to how this one was, John Wick would have only grossed more like 40 million or so, which is still very impressive. However, it's not the highest number as possible. Having seen the movie and how word of mouth is going to go with this, I'm predicting that John Wick will do, probably another 35 million next weekend. And I think probably at this particular theater in the South, it will do more like from where it was at 10,000 per theater this weekend. It'll probably do about 7,500 per theater next week. So the 2 week cumulative national average might be right around where the overall national average is. Cumulative for this theater might be, so like how it does nationally per theater might be very similar when you average out the 2 weeks to how it is at this particular theater in the South. But anyway, it was a tremendous movie. Can't imagine anyone not recommending it to someone, especially if they're in the demographic that likes this kind of movie already. It's a very impressive movie indeed. So anyway, I hope everyone's having a wonderful day out there, and I'm going to be putting a video out in the next couple weeks. The top 50 Nicolas Cage movies that I've seen. I've seen over 50 of them, so there'll be some that are not on the list. So if anyone out there wants to go ahead and maybe put some things in the comments about, what their top Nicolas Cage movies are, I'd be very interested to see how things shake out in that regard. I figured I'd review a movie that occurs to me quite a lot because having seen the movie in theaters years ago, then never watched it again. Before I watched it again, I started listening to the audiobook quite a lot. And a pretty interesting concept or story, I guess you would say, by Michael Crichton. And that's the movie called Sphere. Now, Sphere starred Dustin Hoffman, Sharon Stone, Samuel L. Jackson, Queen Latifah, and Liev Schreiber before he was very well known. And still, I don't even know if people know his name too much, but the star of Ray Donovan. And does a lot of voiceover work and is the husband of Naomi Watts, as far as I know. So anyway, this is a movie that reteams Barry Levinson with his director from Rain Man. Reteams Barry Levinson with Dustin Hoffman, and they had worked on it. They would go on to make another movie called Wag the Dog shortly after Sphere, which was a very acclaimed performance for Dustin Hoffman, where he got nominated for that. Very funny movie at the time. A very funny movie now, I'm sure. Sphere is about Dustin Hoffman's character mainly, about how he's one of those guys that helps out after an airplane crash. So he thinks he's gonna go help out with the survivors and all that, but instead they take him below the surface of the earth, in the water, deep dive on some submarine, and the situation is that they've discovered this sphere, and the sphere is very mysterious, what it is, and all that. I won't really spoil the whole movie. I'll just go on to say that it's about 2.5 hours long, and it's a very long movie. And redundant there, but Sharon Stone wearing very 90s makeup and hair, and that she had a relationship with Dustin Hoffman's character. That all doesn't really get fleshed out too much in the book. It kind of does a little bit more. But anyway, they become kind of, I want to say trapped on this vessel, but, the circumstances are, Peter Coyote's character all brought them together. And he does a pretty good job in this film. And, I find it good to have it on in the background a lot of the time, but also if you want to just kind of study the movie and watch it, it's a imperfect movie, but I think the setup for it is very interesting, and then at a certain point it always loses a little bit of momentum. But so I won't go too much further into it because the special effects are first rate and the production design, and for this kind of movie, that's sometimes what you really want from it anyway. And Dustin Hoffman does a good performance, but some of the stuff from the book doesn't exactly translate to the movie, and vice versa. Some of the stuff that's in the movie pops off the screen a lot more than it does when you're listening to the audiobook or reading the book. So they do a really good job of communicating visually in this film. Go ahead and check it out. Thanks for attending here this box office report. And shalom. Have a great afternoon and evening out there. And we'll tune in again sometime soon. Bye for now.